New data indicates that the majority of American adults are now single. This is the first time since the government started collecting this type of data that this is true, that the majority of adults are single. They're unmarried. Let me give you the exact details. Some 124.6 million Americans were single in August. That's 50.2% of those who were 16 years or older, according to data by the Bureau of Labor Statistics in its monthly job market report. So in 1976, which is when they first started compiling this information, it was 37.4% and has since been trending upward.
I'm a little bit more amazed by the 1976 numbers. But yeah, I mean, this is the most clear trend there is. Not only are there more divorces, but there's a lot of people who are having families but not getting married. You know, they've got kids and they live together and they're perfectly happy, but they're not married. And so they're considered single, obviously. And conservatives look at that and their heads explode and they say, we told you, right? And I think, yeah, I know. I've been saying all along it's going to happen. In fact, I used to take a lot of grief from fellow liberals, the Ben Mankiewicz of the world, et cetera. Back when I was a quote-unquote Republican, right? But I was a liberal Republican.
Right.
And so I said, for example, when Murphy Brown, I don't know if you remember, it's a real old school. When Murphy Brown had a kid outside of marriage on television, she was a sitcom character, right? Dan Quayle said, well, that's going to lead to it being more and more accepted. And all liberals were like, yeah, Dan Quayle, you idiot, you moron. No, it's not. And I said at the time, yes, it is. It's part of a very large trend. It's not like Murphy Brown turned the whole country into having kids while not getting married, but it's part of a trend, and you see that on television. But even back then, I was a liberal Republican, so I was like, I don't mind. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's issues that we can talk about, but overall, I believe it's called freedom.
Right, and also, okay, so I think
but it is going to happen, and it did happen.
Having it in mass media definitely starts to normalize it, but as of late, I think that there are other elements into play. You know, you obviously touched on that a little bit, but getting married is insanely expensive. Yes, you can go to a courthouse and do it that way and it's not expensive, but having a wedding, buying a home, doing the things that adults have traditionally done in the past is now unattainable for people in my age group. Like, I'm lucky, I have a stable job, I'm doing my career, I feel really good about it, but a lot of people in my age group don't have that luxury, right? And so my brother's getting married right now. It's insane how much money they're spending on that wedding. It's insane how much they have to spend on events leading up to the wedding.
And almost everybody does.
Yeah.
So look, there's a great number of factors. That's one of them. Of course, the downside is you're worried that if both parents are not in the home, that the kid's going to have issues, whether it's financial issues or just social, psychological issues. Now, of course, you want the best for the kids, but a lot of people are staying together. So the dad, the mom are in the house, they're just not married to one another. So one of the factors is the expense of marriage. Another factor is the laws regarding marriage. So people are more reluctant to marry if it turns out they get divorced in a couple of years and the other person takes half.
How do you, I know a lot of people do it, but that's a difficult discussion to have. How do you talk about a prenup?
And good luck trying to have that discussion before you get married, right? Okay, I mean, it's not a lot of guys who can have, or women who can have that discussion, right? So the fact that those laws are not the most equitable things, given the current state of this country, also affects people not wanting to get married. Look, in the old days, when people got married and they stayed married for 40, 50 years, and at the end the guy has a mistress and a woman helped raise his family, again, I'm talking about the old days because that's usually what happened back then, well, then it makes sense to take 50%. You've built this life together, right?
Yep.
Now people get married, they get divorced 18 months later, and some woman or guy and it happened to Roseanne Barr, right? All of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm going to take half your money. Well, what the fuck did you do for half the money, right? So that's an issue, right? But then there are more issues. And people are saying, hey, wait a minute, is it really in our nature to be with one person for our whole lives? And if you look at biology and all that, the answer is probably not.
Let's just calm down with those statements.
Okay, but let's just keep it real. Let's keep it real, okay, that's an issue at least.
Yeah.
Right? So, but at the same time, we want to raise the kids, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot at play here, and it's not as easy as simple as the conservatives make. Just stay married, get married, stay married.
Well, that's their economic policy. Anytime you talk to them about how you get people out of poverty, they're like, people need to get married. That's it. That doesn't necessarily help with poverty.